Greetings, traveler. You have seen many disturbing things on your quest, but here in the dark your eyes fail you. Two sounds you hear. One is the ever-quickening beat of your heart, but the other fills you with dread. Hey.
Guys, do you have to do that now? How long is it going to be?
It's Dead Reckoning, Episode 4. Tonight, we're talking about dealing with boogeymen, sexy cushions, and traitor bees.
So my week in horror, it does seem like a long time ago since this specific week. I watched Wreck. I'd not seen that before. I don't know why, because I love Spanish horror films.
You've not seen it?
Yeah, I just watched it this week because I was trying to make my way through the 101. I can't remember who did it now. Some horror website did 101 best horror films, and I watched it. And some of them were very suspect. Like, what was that in there for? Like, Final Destination 2. Like, yeah, all right, fine, but like, it's very specific that. I thought, I was trying to make my way around down the list, and Wreck was on it. So and it's only short, so I can feasibly watch it while Lewis is at jiu-jitsu, which is how I build my life now. It's just, is that a jiu-jitsu?
You're a UFC wife now.
I am. Is that a jiu-jitsuable film? Well, I don't want it because otherwise, what happens is he comes in like 20 minutes before the end and goes, "Who's that guy? Is that the guy from? Is that the guy from The Thing?" They're like, "Shut up! It's the end." So I just have to watch stuff like when he goes to jiu-jitsu. It's like an hour and a half. So I thought, I'll give that a watch. I really enjoyed it. I love the start because I had flashbacks to like when I was doing television production at uni, and it's the exact same film that everyone does all the time, which is like, we're going somewhere which should be exciting, and it isn't. It's so boring. I'm in a zoo. You wouldn't believe how boring it is here. You would think it was amazing, but it isn't. All the animals are asleep and we can't go anywhere. And it's that you've got to do that kind of like excited presenter voice. And she's in the fire. I was really feeling for her when she's in the fire station and fuck all's happening. And she just slumps against the wall and she's like, "Oh, shall we go to reception and see what's happening there?" I was like, "I feel you, girl. I've been there. I've been there so many times." So I really enjoyed all that stuff. And then,
Isn't that usually where the TV crew would intervene and like put you in the cage with a gorilla or start a small fire or something?
I've been told I'm not allowed to be in here because this is a Siberian tiger and it could eat me. But honestly, we're so fucking bored. We've had one shot of a pheasant all day. It's not even a zoo animal. He just wandered in.
And that was at the fire station.
What was he doing there? So yeah, I really enjoyed Wreck, and I like because what I like about Spanish horror films or any horror films in different language is that they speak so fast that even if the dialogue's awful, it doesn't matter because you don't hear how awful it is in a different language. You know, if someone's doing like a shit line in English. And it's really forced and awful, and it's something like, "We just have to speak to the commissioner to find out why all this is going on," like a clunky sort of exposition line. But if they just go, like, what? Okay, that's fine.
When you're looking at the subtitles, because it's then translated into English, like, oh yeah, but it's almost like the translation into English is the problem, not the line itself.
Exactly. You think, it probably sounds much better in Spanish. And I thought I spoke okay Spanish until I started watching that film. She speaks so fast.
Same. Like I learned heaps of Spanish and French, and I'm like, yeah, I could probably watch this without subtitles. Like 4 seconds, no.
Yeah, it kind of
speak slower like they do on the tape and talk about the loop.
It makes me think that when I do go to Spain, I speak to everyone like this, and they respond in kind. And I'm like,
why is no one booking a hotel for their brother? Where's their brother staying?
Why aren't they checking if the hotel has a shower or not? That's the important stuff that we need to know.
I remember reading an article after the first two series of Narcos came out, and the fellow who plays Pablo Escobar, like, he was amazing in the series, but that's if you like just reading the subtitles and watching it in, obviously, in the Spanish that it comes in. But the guy who plays Pablo Escobar he's like Portuguese, so he's not a native Spanish speaker. So like the people who speak Spanish were watching it and just like, why is this guy so bad? Everyone was like, who watched it, who only speaks English, but he was absolutely amazing. But when it comes down to his watching it, if you're a native Spanish speaker, everyone was just like, no, that's just horrible. Like this Johnny Depp film that just came out where he plays one of the French kings. Because obviously Johnny Depp spent a long time in France, so he can speak fluent French, but it's just very stunted French. And he's again, and plus like the woman who directed this film, the Jean Barry, she wrote, directed, and produces it, and she also plays Johnny Depp's lover. And I'm just like, is this an ego project just so she gets to make out with Johnny Depp? I was like, we were watching it, we were like, yeah, this is totally what this film is. It's just an ego
Some
project.
intense stalker level stuff.
Yeah. She just wrote a film where she just gets to play someone who gets to get off of him on a daily basis.
I've made some changes to the script, Johnny.
Again. Let me guess.
So it's not only a nude scene, but there's also a basket of honey. I'm not doing it.
But wouldn't the honey drip out of the basket? Yes. Now carry the basket.
The French kings did not think of such things. Now come.
Has anyone seen the American remake of Wreck? Because that's meant to be awful.
I don't know if I have. I think maybe I didn't just for that reason. Of course, it will be. I watched Wreck 2, which immediately attaches it to some sort of religious thing. Still worth a watch though as a horror movie. It was still pretty good, Wreck 2. But it's really like where the first one is really well done. The second one is like, oh, okay, you've sold it to someone. And they're like, horror movies, I know horror movies. So yeah.
Yeah.
But you do get to see a lot more of that horrible monster that you see at the end.
See, I that was my least favourite bit of it, was seeing like the monster, because it's the old Stephen King thing, isn't it? It's like, oh, it's the scariest thing ever. And then you look at it, you go, that's not as scary as I thought it was going to be. It's all right. I guess it's pretty scary, I guess.
You know what it might be? What I've found is when I've watched movies at the cinema and then I've told someone to watch it and they watch it on TV and they're like, yeah, it wasn't that scary. I think you have to be immersed in it for it to be scary.
Yeah, maybe.
Like because of we're currently in an apartment, if I watch any movies like I do most nights, it's like in the dark in front of this massive TV it's in here and I've got headphones in, like noise cancellation. So it's all like I'm immersed in it. I think if you just watch that on a smaller screen in the corner in your living room, no, it's probably not scary because you're not, you know what I mean? You're not immersed in it. And I think that could be the thing with those. Because I remember when I watched Wreck, I was like, high heart rate most of the way through. And then that end bit with that monster thing where she's trying to hide and it's bashing around the kitchen. Oh, wow. I thought that was terrifying.
Yeah, maybe it is. I've got
but I was a younger lad.
Massive project. I can project onto a full wall. So maybe that's the way forward rather than just like in my heavily lit room with all my stuff out, like, oh, there's a dartboard in there. It does distract you a bit, I can just play some darts.
Setting up, making a big deal out of it is beneficial as well if the movie's not that good. I remember Halloween a couple of years ago, I set up in the garage because it was Terrifier 2 had come out and I was like, oh God, I want to watch that. And I watched Terrifier followed by Terrifier 2, but I set up this like really ghetto setup with my camping chairs and camping stuff in the garage with this old projector screen that I borrowed and a projector from work. And it was awesome. It was like 10 times better than it would have been watching it on TV.
Yeah, maybe that's the way to do it then.
Just being in a garage on your own is scary enough.
There's so many jars of nails in here and I don't know what kind of nails they are.
I've got a family, Jed. I spend most of my time in the garage if I can. Let's go back in the garage. You're not taking your dinner in the garage again, are you? Yeah, I've got lots to do.
Busy.
That car's an absolute lemon. Yeah. just banging a hammer on something. This car.
Just a recording of someone banging a hammer on something while you sit eating your dinner in peace.
My dad's a builder. That was literally like 2/3 of his entire life. It was just at the bottom of the garden. I've just bought a shop vac. I'm going to test it out. See you in a couple of hours. Just aimlessly storing bits of wood.
Getting high as a kite because you're gluing all your kids' toys back together.
You couldn't walk into any of the garages in our family. Like, the sheds and the garages in my family were inaccessible because they were full of crap, so you couldn't go in there and do anything.
Oh, yeah, it's like an old wooden ladder. Bags of concrete that have gone hard.
And the other thing I was watching this week was, well, it's finished over here, but The Traitors is a UK. I think it's developed in the UK, but there is an Australian version as well. And it's a it's a game show basically. It's like 22 people all staying in this house, but it's really heavily horror coded. So they pick 22 people, and the producers pick 3 of them who are going to be traitors, and every night the traitors can kill one of the others. They can murder them, and they all get together in these big big hooded cloaks, and like meet in a bell tower, and it's all very cloak and dagger, and it's like someone has been murdered, and it's all like that. And there was actually but then because it is British, like the way that they find out if they've been murdered, they just walk into a room and there's an envelope on a chair, and they walk in and they go, "Oh no, I've been murdered." It's like really a terrible anticlimax. Like, "Oh bloody hell, I've been murdered, haven't I?" Like, and that's it. But they had some really bizarre sections. Like, I don't if you've not seen series 2 of UK Traitors, like, come back in 3 minutes because I'm going to ruin something for you. But there was a mother and son in this particular series, and they didn't tell anyone they were mother and son because obviously they could gang up, team up, and it'd be suspicious. And the mother was murdered by the traitors, and they had a whole fucking funeral, including putting her in a coffin and shutting the lid. and this lad whose mum it is so they don't know it's his mum, and he's kind of like, "Well, this is suboptimal for as a day." Like, I've just witnessed my mother's funeral, and it was so bizarre. Like, they had this massive, like, it was almost like, in like the New Orleans type, like, funeral processions where there's all mad shit going on. And they went in this big hearse, and they went past like a group of singers who were just singing this dirge, and then they had these 3 coffins, and it was like, "Who is it that will be murdered today?" And they're like, his mum had to lie in a coffin, and they put the fucking lid on. And I was like, "Oh God, I don't think this is not tea time watching. Why am I doing this?" But it's such a like weird show because they're very, very serious about it, and it's like, and I like this. I watched the second. I hadn't seen the first series. I'd seen the second series, and then we've gone back to watch series 1. And in series 2, they're actually all really friendly and nice to each other, and it's like, "Oh, it's only a game. Oh, well, let's all just get on and be friends and all this." And then in the first one, they fucking hate each other from second 1 of the show. They're like, "You're a fucking liar." It's just like different accents shouting angrily. "You're a fucking liar." "No, I think she's a liar." "You're a fucking liar." Like, it's just like so all like the regions just arguing with each other and like hating each other. And then every night they all like they get in this bell tower and take off their hoods, and they're like, "Let's murder Carol." And it shows you this lovely like primary school teacher is in her 50s.
Just as I've not seen it either, just to ask a question. So the audience know who the traitors are, and it's just the people on the show got to guess.
Yeah, the audience know. So that's the best bit, because the other thing about this show is that they're all shit at it. They're rubbish at finding the traitors. So they'll all sit around, and it is like I get really weird about I don't know. I don't like watching films about the witch hunts and like Salem and stuff like that. I find them quite upsetting. Stuff where there's like witch trials and witch hunts, but that's exactly what it's like. It's just a witch hunt. So they all, apart from the murder bit, there's also a banishment where they all sit around a round table and they all say, who they think the traitor is. And that's just like, they just pick on someone for the most random reason, especially after the first day when they've known each other for about 3 hours, and they're like, I think Jasmine is the traitor because she seems like a quiet person. And it's like, what? She's a quiet person. That's what it is it? And it's like, I also think John is a traitor because he's quite loud. You're like, you just can't win. It's like, we watch these. It's like you watch the witch hunts, and it's like they're just like, I blame Goody Johnson because I saw her chase a pig in an unnecessary manner. And she's like, no, I didn't. It's like, she denies it. That means she's a witch. And it's like, witches deny stuff. Like, it's just like watching that, and they're all so bad at it. And in the second series, the guy basically they're all after some money. There's £100,000 prize, and if there are any traitors left at the end, all of the prize money goes to the traitors and it gets split between them. But if they manage to get rid of the traitors, the faithful, the others win the money. So we were the second series.
How much money are we talking?
100 grand. 100 grand.
Yeah, you'd actually kill someone for that, wouldn't you?
They also get really angry at each other for literally playing the game and going by the rules. So they'll say, she came up to me and she said who she thinks one of the traitors are. It's like, that's the fucking game. That's what you're meant to be. What were you doing all this time? What were you doing? And she's the poor woman will be like, that's what we're supposed to do, isn't it? And they're like, no, for some reason that's not what we're supposed to do, but it is sometimes, but not all the time. And it's okay when she does it, but not you. It's like,
and find one of them in the kitchen and they're like, for the last time, this is not a cooking show. Get out there and find the traitor.
Yeah, they all just like, and there's just a line that gets bandied about a lot. It's like, you're either a traitor or a really rubbish faithful. And it's like, well, that's not fair. Like, I'm trying. I'm not.
Wow.
And there's always one, because people keep asking me, Kirsty, are you going to go on that? You'd be good at that. Because I do get lied to as a teacher. I get lied to about 90% of my day is people coming up to me just going, yeah, so my grandma's...
That's really sad, Kirsty.
My grandma's dog needs to wait in for a fridge to be delivered, but the dog needs to have medicine every 3 seconds, and I need to... And it's like, yeah, that's a lie, isn't it? That's a lie, isn't it? I feel like Maury Povich, that's a lie. And that's a lie. So people are saying, wouldn't you go on it? And I was like, no, because there's a guy on it, on the seat. His name's Jazz, and he's brilliant, and he knows who the traitors are, and he's been telling everyone, he's like, it's that guy. And they're like, no, it isn't. And it was. And he gets it. It's that guy. It's this guy. He's the traitor. And they're like, no, it isn't. In fact, you're the traitor just for saying that. I was like, that'd be me. I'd know exactly who it was straight away within about 25 minutes. But everybody would just be like, hate me so much because that's not the game. And I'd be like, well, I know it is. It's them three. And they'd be like, no, this isn't how you play. The producers would probably throw me out anyway. Because it's like,
they're doing the motion of like, stretch it out.
Yeah. Kirsty, do you want to maybe think about somebody else who it might not be? Because this is episode 1. And we need to stretch this out for 18 episodes. And you've guessed it, in the first 10 minutes. So I don't think I would want to go on it. But it was absolutely heartbreaking in the finale of the second. Because it is all so intense. And you can see how they go nuts in there because it's all like, it's in a big stately home. It's all very grand and like eerie, and there's all weird musical. I mean, obviously they can't hear the music, but when they've put the soundtrack over the top, and it's all like it's all kind of covers of songs which have been redone electronically with a breathy female vocal. It's all like that, like hit me, baby, one more time. Like that kind of shit. And you're like, every single song is like that. And they just build up this really intense atmosphere, and then they make them all like accuse each other. And it got to the final, and like the girl who was... So you've got the really clever guy who knew it from the beginning. He's in the final. You've got a guy who's a traitor, and you've got a girl who's a faithful. And she wrote the traitor's name down and then crossed it out and wrote the other guy's name, so they lost all the money. And this guy was, and she was like looking at this guy, and she's like, it's not you, is it? And he's like, no, of course it isn't. And then they were like, It is. It's very obvious. Like there was a little game that they play at the end, and it's like basically there's 3 of them, and they have to decide whether to like finish the game, and like that's the end of the game, or do they want to carry it on? Now the guy who's the traitor was like, yeah, let's continue the game. Like, well, he's obviously the traitor then, isn't he? Do you get that? Do you get that, Molly? And Molly is so sweet and so thick, and you're like, no, it's obvious now, Molly. It's obvious now. And her little face when he reveals himself to be the traitor, and she's just like, she's so shocked, and it's like, oh my god, you're so stupid. And it is like watching a horror film. It's like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday night for 4 weeks, so it's like quite you get episode, and it's like watching a very long drawn out horror film where you're like, don't go down that hallway, don't go down that hallway, don't go into that room, don't go into that room. He's a murderer, he's clearly a murderer. It's like so frustrating.
I'm picturing like the way they have it. I'm picturing something in my head where they have it like go, you're not a traitor, are you? And then it just like cuts away to like an office style cutaway where they're like in a room. They go, I totally am.
Well, they do that. They actually do that quite a lot. So the twist where it's like the mother and son. So someone said to the mum when the mother and son that were in there, they were like, "Oh, I think he's your son," about a different guy. And she was like, "Ha ha ha!" And then they do a little cutaway, and she's like, "No, Paul isn't my son, but James is." And it's like, "Oh my god!" It's Ross, sorry, not James. But Ross is, and everyone just loses their mind. It's the biggest reaction I've had to a TV show in years. I was like, oh my goodness. But then I've watched series 1, and they do the same thing in the series 1, but with a couple. So I was like, oh, okay, everybody else was expecting this to happen. That was my week in horror.
Just sat watching TV.
Just watching the traitors, yeah, and Rec.
Jed, did you get out of the house this week?
Sorry, are we supposed to be out fucking orienteering in a spooky wood or something? Or in an abandoned palace? Have I missed it? Have I missed something? Yeah. I'm sorry that was
to do.
I'm sorry that was underwhelming, that I was watching shows and films. What else would I so I killed someone this week. Did you? Yeah, I killed someone, yeah.
Well, maybe do that for next week.
Metal detecting in an asylum.
Jed, you're up.
Yeah, so one moment, please. Gotta bring your list up.
Jed's got a list, Kirsty.
I do.
It's all
Checking it twice. Like a horror-themed Santa and a skeleton. Huh? Anyway, yeah, so I noticed recently that Tony Todd is at this year's Liverpool Comic Con. I'm not going because the tickets are astronomical and I don't want to pay like £50 to have a photograph with someone. But it led me on to rewatching the Candyman movies. So the first one is obviously the definitive one, really. Like, looking back on it, the only thing that really scares me these days is there's one bit in the Candyman film, the first one, where she, like, wakes up on the floor of a bedroom and all you hear is screams, and it pulls out and she's got, like, a meat cleaver around and there's just, like, 2 dogs' heads on the floor next to her, and then it's just all blood and, like, a baby's cot. And you're just like, oh, that's horrible. She's just, like, holding on to it. But, yeah, Tony Todd's at this year's Liverpool Comic Con, but one of the things that made me rewatch it as well is my friends currently was at Mardi Gras recently, so it's over the sort of Valentine's Day weekend this year that Mardi Gras was on in New Orleans, and this second Candyman film is actually set during the Easter feast or whatever it is called. But one of the things that's really interesting about the Candyman sequels, it has this like. There's a character who's in the background of Candyman 2 who's like a DJ. He's like a New Orleans DJ, and he gives this soundtrack to the film. He's like a really gruff voiced New Orleans like disc jockey. He just keeps on talking about like the festival that's going on. He's like the undercurrent of it. Well, that's one of the things that really sort of drags you into the whole film. I mean, the sequel's not exactly on par with the first one, and the third film's practically unwatchable for some reason. Now Candyman has like an army of zombies or something. I just think Tony Todd just went in it for the payday. But the first one's obviously the definitive one. The second one is has this undercurrent of this. He's got I think he's like a howling wolf style DJ, but from New Orleans jazz. He's just one of these people who really sort of drags you into it. But
What did
yeah,
you think of the remake?
I thought it was all right. I mean,
I thought it was really good.
it's more sort of a continuation, really. I like the fact that they made him the baby that was in the first film. I thought that was a really good way of sort of tying it into the two. Plus, the art installations that he had were like really jarring, especially when someone actually says it in the mirror and then they end up murdered, and you're just like, that's
I
not good.
found there was one scene where he goes to I can't remember who the it's a long time ago when I watched it. But you see her from the outside of the apartment, and obviously you don't see him, and she's just getting like thrown around, and then she just gets smashed into the window. I thought that was pretty good. That was pretty scary. I thought it was a good movie, the remake.
It's definitely it's definitely in the same vein. It sort of brings it up to the sort of modern take on it. But the first one, especially the score by Philip Glass, is probably one of the best horror movies ever made, really. Especially Virginia Madsen, it's the Helen, what's her name? Helen Lyle. The whole point where she's like looking into urban legends and then she ends up in one. It's just one of them things that just sends shivers down your spine. One of the other things I've been watching recently is the most recent series of True Detective. I'm not going to include any spoilers, but it takes on a more sort of eerie, sort of supernatural quality towards it. It definitely has definitely sort of heightens the whole thing. But probably the best thing about it as well, it's set in that period of Alaska where it's sort of the far north where there's 30 days of night, just like obviously the vampire film.
Yeah.
But the whole point of it being completely in the dark is just really adds to the whole tension. But Jodie Foster and Kylie Reese really sort of like a excellent team together, and the whole heightened sort of psychological horror part of it is just really probably one of the most unmissable parts of TV at the moment.
It gets torn to shred online, and even like reviewers who are like, no, it is actually pretty good, except for all these bits, and they just like they're just looking to tear shreds off it for no reason, just because the first series was so good. And I'm like, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I think True Detective, or could be the only real bad season was the second one, because that has sort of, even that has the
Vince Vaughn
and what was the other guy? Colin Farrell is like a
Colin Farrell.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Also, this most recent series of True Detective is incredibly female led as well, which is certainly one of the best points about it. I mean, the showrunner Isa Lopez, who's the writer and director of most of the episodes, is supposedly the sort of protege of Guillermo del Toro. So she's like a Mexican filmmaker as well, but she's been taken under the wing of Guillermo del Toro since their early career. She's only really made one film, but the way this the True Detective Night Country comes across is definitely one of the most unmissable pieces of TV at the moment. And Jodie Foster is just an absolute powerhouse as she normally is, but
she's great.
One of the good things about it as well is it's very it draws a lot of parallels onto sort of Inuit spirituality as well, and a lot of the actors. Like, we were watching it, and we were like, is every Alaskan Native actor in this program? Because like the whole town is just. Cause, I mean, I can't imagine there's a lot of like native Alaskan actors, but the whole town is just populated by them, and it is really sort of the spiritualness of the whole thing, and the bleakness of the whole sort of the tundra and everything that's up there in Alaska is amazing. It just looks like the most desolate and dark place on earth, and obviously that heightens to the whole horror theme of it. And this is obviously trying to be a spoiler-free review, because you could go into detail about it, but the whole murder case is that five scientists at a research station have gone missing, and that itself just has parallels to the thing. So it just really grips you from the from the get-go. But yeah, watching Candyman and True Detective season 2, I pretty much took up a long part of my my time. But every Monday is just an event whenever we get to watch that, and it's on episode 5 as of now. So if you can
Yeah.
catch that, wherever do so, it's absolutely incredible.
It sounds a little bit like Fortitude. Do you remember that?
I've heard you speak about this before. I need to actually watch that, to be honest.
It's
not-
the same. I think it wouldn't be as effective if it wasn't set in the Arctic Circle, but it's set in the Arctic Circle where there's a research station, but also like some sort of oil rig or something. So there's like scientists and there's big burly fellas who are not very nice to people, and then they just, that's the whole community, and they find a mammoth, like partially preserved, but it like unleashes this weird parasite, and that's not a spoiler. That's like the first 10 minutes basically, but because it's dark all the time, and it's like there's just these big desolate stretches, and it just looks amazing, and but it feels really like intense because every single person in that town has got to be involved. People don't really come there from anywhere else. Do you know what I mean? It's all kind of incestuous, and everyone's involved in it.
It's kind of like it sounds like a movie, Black Mountain Side, Canadian movie, which is it's like a scientists are out somewhere, Arctic or somewhere like that, and they find it's again, it's like a parasite thing that attacks them. It's like a Lovecraftian element to it, and there's also some sort of weird old god or something, which is like a deer's head. That's a pretty good movie. Black Mountain Side is called. It sounds very similar. Well, after berating Kirsty, I don't have much other than stuff that I've watched.
Nah.
I did.
Oh, you mean you didn't go on a horror-themed hide-and-seek adult cocktail evening? Fucking.
I've got some.
You got a Groupon.
I've got some wonderful stories, but I think I'll save them for the next episode, and I'll do a big segment on it instead.
Big fuck you to the audience there, Paul. I think I'll save that for the next episode. You're going to hear a load of shit now, and the good stuff's in episode 5.
Don't stop it. You're here for another hour at least.
Fuck you, audience.
Well, they're not about me. It's kind of like stories of the life of somebody else that I know, so it's a bit different. So my week in horror, I went my first camping trip in Queensland, my little boy, and
Wolf Creek.
All night, roasting hot. It was so Wolf Creek when we got there, and it's just this like old farm, and this like old guy comes out, and he's got like, you get old people have those like skin problems. They've got all these like little cuts and things all over their face, and they're just covered in dry blood, basically. Like,
that might just be Australia, Paul.
It might just be Australia.
Our old people are clean.
The sun does to you. 70 years of the sun on you, and yes, we comes up there and we go to this. We go to the place, and there's two guys with him who are a bit burly and don't smile, and they're just looking at us like, "What are you doing here?" sort of thing. Even though it's like quite a popular camping spot, and behind him in this shed where he's like writing down, like checking the booking and writing down our details and all that sort of thing, and there's tons of mannequins and skulls of animals that they've shot, because they get all like feral deer and pigs and things like that. But it's just the weirdest, like American backcountry. You know, when they pull over somewhere to ask for directions, and it's just some like bizarre little hut full of all these oddities and things. And it was like that, and it was just weird. But they're obviously trying to be like fun for the tourists and people who come there, because there's a lot of backpackers and people stay there. And Finn said, "What are those skulls back there? Like, what animals are they?" And the guy goes, "Oh, yeah, they're some of the people we didn't get on with," but doesn't laugh or say anything else. And I was like, "Oh, I think they're just deers, mate." And we got there, and it was really nice. And we were like going up and down this creek. Fortunately, it wasn't full of snakes and things, but we were going up and down this creek and having a great time. In the morning, I was packing up. It was just starting to drizzle, and I was like, "Oh, well, we'll get packed up and we'll go." I put Finn in the car so we can listen to his little, I keep saying book on tape, but you know what I mean, Audible, whatever it is. And I put him in the car, and then I'm like, right. And it's probably 8 o'clock in the morning, 7:30 in the morning. It's overcast, drizzling. So I'm packing all the stuff up. I'm probably about, and then talking to the people next to us who Finn was bothering all night. And it was about an hour. When I got home, about the day after, I started to get these mosquito bites on my feet. I'd been bitten between the knee, so the line of my shorts, and my ankle, because I had shoes on, 71 times in total on both legs.
I like how you managed to count them to a really specific number there, Paul. You just like cast there with like a tally mark, like 1, 2.
Because they're massive welts, and I was in so much pain I couldn't sleep. It was horrific. I swear there was other issues with having all that stuff. You know, sometimes when you get like, people get stung by something, they get stung so much that it starts getting into their blood and screwing them up almost like a drug.
Yeah.
It was horrific. Absolutely horrible. Nothing would work. I was in so much pain for days afterwards. And the other thing I did was, because I was trying to like wrangle Finn and he was pestering these people next to us who obviously, you know, were there to relax. I cut 2 of my fingers open bad enough that one of them, it may have needed stitches, but I just ignored it. And really badly burnt one of my other fingers. So I came out of this thing kind of like, you know, when the woman comes out of Wolf Creek at the end, kind of like that. Or at the end of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's what I looked like at the end of my first camping trip. And
Just limping out with like a faraway look in your eyes.
So that was a bit horror. And then
that was your holiday.
Yes, that was my holiday. Yesterday I had my Finn's birthday party, and because it was supposed to storm, we had it in our apartment. So I had 20 kids in here, which was again a bit horrible. It's a big place, so it was fine. But one of them, and it was bound to happen at some point, one of his presents he got was a Nerf gun. And these things, I don't know if they were always like this, but it's insanely powerful. It'd go straight through a plasterboard wall. So we're like, really, and it's so hard to pull the hammer back to fire it because the spring's that strong. And I'm explaining to Finn, all right, you don't fire at anything, just the target. I don't want it damaging anything, blah, blah, blah. And certainly don't fire at someone. While I'm talking to him, he's listening, but he's looking down at it, right? You can see where this is going. It's like a Christmas Story.
In his head, it's just blah, 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 gun, blah, blah, gun, blah, blah, gun.
Shoot people. So from 4 feet away, he fires a shot by accident while he's looking at this thing directly into my left eyeball. So I don't have a black eye because it hit the eyeball directly in the middle.
You're so lucky.
So I just scream, fuck! Takes me down to the ground. And Cass like, oh, are you okay? Because it's just a Nerf gun. It's just a little foam bullet. But the power of this thing, I couldn't see anything out of my left eye for almost a minute. And I was like, he's blinded me. It's detached the retina or something. I'm blind. He's just blinded me. And Cass like, you okay? And I'm like, no. The pain was so intense. Anyway, it was all fine after that.
So
no
funny.
problem.
And with all the kids watching this, you're shouting.
No, this is after they've all gone. And he's opening his presents after they've all gone.
I just had an image of like 19 6-year-olds watching you hit the floor going, fuck! I'm dead.
Dangling down. Just screaming in some random kid's face.
And all the kids are like, yeah!
Push it back in, push it back in.
What did you get for your birthday? Blind Daddy.
Daddy got an eye patch for my birthday.
I watched the Boogeymen, the newer one, which has got Sophie Thatcher from Yellow Jackets in it.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was pretty good, like a 60% sort of movie, even though people give it much, much worse reviews than that. The best parts of it is, so first of all, apart from this girl who's got this like light up, I think it's supposed to be the moon. It's like a globe that lights up. That plays heavily with the, rolling it, and then you only see the monster at the end when the light gets to it, and the monster's got to. There's always balls in these movies. They've got to roll a ball back. So if you're going to write a horror movie, supernatural things or monsters, you've got to have a ball in it that someone rolls off, or a toy car that they can roll back again. They like to play like that. But everything else is a plug-in light or a candle, and I'm like, this is a modern film set like today. There's no one has battery lights. I don't think there's a torch in the entire movie. And you know what Americans are like? Any movie, the second anything happens, they go to the cupboard and get out like 4 giant torches. That's what they do in every movie. They didn't have any. So there's always a plug-in light that gets unplugged or the power goes out because, supernatural entities can control electricity, but not in battery form. Batteries are good. So yeah, they have a lot of trouble with candles blowing out and lights being unplugged and power going off, but nobody's got a battery light at all. So there's this woman, I can't remember the actor's name. She's a very famous actor, but it's her family that it came from. It destroyed her family and killed her kids. And the opening scene is very gruesome, but she's staying in the house to fight it, right? And the girl goes to see her. And she's got all these like shotguns set up on tripwires. And when the thing comes in, she uses a girl as bait and tries to lure the thing in. It gets blasted by about 6 shotguns at almost point blank range. Then the woman gives it both barrels while it's lying on the floor. With the old check the bear's dead before you put your gun down and go up to claim your trophy thing, she walks over and the thing like rips her in half. So we've seen that happen. But then when it comes to the final showdown at the house with the dad, who's useless, and the 2 girls, they get, I think she's got a hockey stick, like a wooden hockey stick. And that's what they have to go into the basement to fight the monster with. And I'm like, you just saw like an army's worth of shotguns go off at the thing and nothing. And they're going down there with a hockey stick. Anyway.
Maybe it can only be killed by wood or sporting equipment.
It was kind of like Common Play, that movie, or Complay, whatever it's called. But the best thing about it was Stephen King book. So obviously, the dialogue wasn't great, but I mean, it's Stephen King. When they finally deliver the death blow to the monster, which is actually by fire, that one point where all the music intensifies and then stops, and then the heroine speaks that one, like, Schwarzenegger-ish sort of line to the monster. Fuck you. That's what she says. That's the best they could come up with. At the end, she just goes, fuck you. And lights the thing on fire. I'm like, really? This whole time, that's all you've got to say to this monster? That's all it's put you through? I say that to people daily. They don't even deserve it. This monster is put her through hell. Fuck you.
Let's think of some better things for her to say.
Yeah.
Get out of my swamp, like Shrek.
in the Shrek voice. That's a very like Gen Z thing to do.
Oh, like on a Family Guy. Remember the Family Guy sort of movie they did where he finally gets Stewie and he goes, "It's just been revoked."
I think he said didn't make
just
sense.
Just some completely out of context line. This is how we do it in Arkansas.
Your boogieing days are over, man.
After that, it was one of these points where it's like, I could go to bed, but it's not so late that it's like, shit, I should go to bed. So I've got to watch something else. And I may have had like 1/4 of a can of beer left or something like that. Or maybe I'd finished it, but there was still more in the fridge. And I'm like, well, you've got to drink them all before midnight, otherwise they turn into poison, which is what I was taught.
Yeah.
So after that, I think it was on Disney Plus. So there's this old school movie called Mr. Boogedy, and it's like an old, like 80s, I think, American movie. And it's got like sequels and stuff, but it was absolutely awesome. It's like an old school. I'm just looking it up now to see I should have done this before, but yeah, 1986, Mr. Boogedy. And it's this dad who owns like a joke company, you know, like the joke shop sort of things, but he owns like a company that does it. And it's him and his family move into this like super haunted house. And anyway, they have to fight this monster that lives there, Mr. Boogedy, and free this like reunite this ghost woman with her son or something like that. It was like just an awesome classic American movie that like you would expect to see like Dan Aykroyd or John Candy or someone in, even though it's Canadian. But a couple, again, they go after him because it was right after the Boogeyman. They go after him so they've got a broom, like a wiffle bat, like the foam baseball bat, and a fly swatter. And then the girl's got some hairspray. And I was like, yep, that's approved. Approved weaponry. I've literally just seen that happen in real life.
Here's a question. If you had to just knowing the actual things that are in your house, and our American listeners, of which we have one,
Ooh.
might be like, well, I'll just get my rifle. But what would you use as a weapon? What's your most like go-to weapon if you think there's a boogeyman in the house?
I guess not being American, I don't have anything, but I would say at least a shotgun and somebody spooky who knows spooky stuff.
No, but you
'Cause
haven't
that's
got
not gonna work, is it?
you haven't got a shotgun though.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
I
what
just
I'm
wouldn't.
saying. If you in your house,
I'd
in
just
your
book it
flat,
out of here.
in your flat, you've
I'm
got
out.
you've got to pick something up to hit it with. You could get Finn's Nerf gun, I guess. That took you out, didn't it?
Oh, God, you know what? Yes, that. And the other one we unwrapped that is a much larger one that even keeps several rounds in the stock. Yeah, I'd get one of those, 100%.
I've got a cast iron rose, which is like it's
yeah.
a cast iron pole with a decorative cast iron rose on the top that my friend's husband is a blacksmith made for me, and that would kill someone definitely.
Stove in a skull, no problem.
Yeah, because it's got also the edges of the rose can be quite sharp, so like it's got cutting and like attacking ability.
The problem is, though, you're talking about some sort of supernatural entity. So when you're picking a weapon, I mean,
Salt.
Yeah,
Table salt.
An old book. You know what I mean?
An old book.
None of these things are going to do anything. Not just any old book.
Like throwing Haynes manuals at him. Like, I don't need this anymore.
I've got a Haynes manual for a 2006 Mitsubishi Pajero.
Take that! Imagine that was the thing that took it out.
It's a heavy book. It could do the job. But yeah, great movie. But one thing that I've noticed in this, and then I was like, oh yeah, I've seen that happen heaps of times in American movies and TV. They get up in the middle of the night, peckish, and go to the, like, I don't know anyone who gets up and eats in the middle of the night, genuinely, but you can't sleep. So they get up and they go to get something to eat from the kitchen, but they start getting stuff out and make like a whole sandwich. Like they'll get meat and lettuce and bread and mayo and make like a giant sandwich and a glass of milk and then take it off to presumably eat and go back to bed. And I'm like, I've seen that so many times. Do they actually do that? And they must, otherwise they wouldn't put it in there.
Yeah, that's a very I don't know of any. If I went down to the fridge in the middle of the night to try and make a sandwich, I'd be down to Dairy like the squares, like a Dairy triangle, and possibly like a little crust. And they're pulling out like ham and turkey and all of this stuff, like this big smorgasbord. I'm like, what's in here? There's a bit of jam. I don't know how long that's been there. It's a Dairy triangle.
You seem to have some food issues.
We don't really keep food
For those
in the
of
fridge.
us who do keep sandwich making stuff in the fridge, it's just odd that they make like that's a meal. And they're like cutting tomatoes and stuff and putting the like turkey. And I'm like, really? In the middle? You need that now in the middle of the night?
One of our friends, he was lodging with my parents for, I think, probably about 2 years or something, but he habitually sleepwalked and slept with his eyes open. So he would sleepwalk with his eyes open. It was the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. But he would regularly go into the kitchen and just like do stuff. But it wasn't like making food. He would just like open cupboards. And like sometimes he was like, he'd have a piece of bread on the side and he'd just be like slapping the bread. And he'd go like, slapping the bread. And then like turning the taps on and off. Like one time he went into the kitchen and he turned on the chip pan and then he was holding the basket of the chip pan. He's going,
God.
I was just like, nope. I was like, I'm going to break the rule about waking up sleepwalkers here. I'm going to like, I didn't actually wake him up. I managed to like turn him and just like point him in the direction of the other room. Like one time he went into the kitchen and he sleepwalked into the kitchen. Knocked over the ironing board. The ironing board fell on him, and he was still like on the floor in the kitchen, just like mumbling with the ironing board on top of him. And then the dog went in, and then the dog was just like sitting on top of the ironing board. And we were like, "What is happening here?" But we regularly used to do like Buckaroo with him when he was at Ball's Place. You just like put stuff on top of him, like random items, like people's shoes. We did it when Paul and a few of his mates lived in Frodsham. Like he would regularly fall asleep with his eyes open, and we would just randomly put stuff on top of him. Yeah, he used to sleepwalk, turning like flapping bread. Like my mum would come down in the morning, and they'd just be like pieces of bread all over the side, and just like hand marks on them. And she'd be like, "Not again." But the worst part of it was that he wasn't like just sleepwalking. Like his bedroom is in the loft,
Jesus
so he
Christ.
physically had to sleepwalk down a ladder. He's sleepwalking, climbing down a fucking ladder.
I feel like a sleepwalker made up that rule about not waking them up just for shits and giggles, to be fair. I don't think that's a real thing. Oh, no, don't wake one of us up or we'll die. Like, what? Really? Why? How? Because you've already done something pretty fucking dangerous, which is climbing down a ladder and there's a flight of stairs
Get the
whilst
old chip pan
asleep, and then you've got a chip pad out. But if I just slowly like shake you awake, you're going to die. That's going to kill you, is it? All right. Fair enough.
I thought it was that they just go berserk.
Well, that's
Probably.
that's what they show you in the media, Paul. I say we all go.
How many sleepwalkers have you killed?
That's what they called me.
If that's a Disney movie, it'd be like an amazing chef, but only when he's asleep.
He's like Ghost Ratatouille.
Ratatouille crossed with insomnia. That'd be a great film. But it's the big cook-off. You could win $1 million. Like, I need someone to get me to sing me a lullaby or something.
He's like, I just can't fall asleep. I don't know what's wrong with me. And they're trying all these things to try and get him to fall asleep. For the big cook-off.
I was drinking this milky drink. Oh no, it's coffee.
Hey, I'm going to cut all this because we're making this movie. This is worth $1 billion.
It's a $1 billion idea right there.
It continues on from the trip through the 90s. So I started a little bit on from the beginning, but this carries on from 1996 all the way through to 1998. So starting off, I have The Frighteners, which is the 1996 supernatural comedy horror by Peter Jackson. Obviously, Peter Jackson in his pre-Lord of the Rings days. I think this is the last movie that he made before he made Lord of the Rings. We have Michael J. Fox as a man after a traumatic event can see ghosts, and one of the ghosts, obviously played by John Astin, who's Gomez in the original Addams Family TV series, is a sort of decrepit skeleton cowboy. Also has the
he was also the spooky real estate agent from Mr. Boogedy. Just FYI.
He just pops up in anything that they need, like a bit of a creepy guy with a mustache in. He just shows up. But he has Jeffrey Combs plays an FBI agent who, for some reason, one of the running themes of Jeffrey Combs' character in The Frighteners is that he has really bad hemorrhoids. Like it's a running gag throughout The Frighteners that he has to put down a little like inflatable donut. Of all the things to like make it, he's obviously a sleazy FBI agent. He doesn't believe in charlatan like clairvoyance, but the whole point of his character is that he like winces when he sits down. And he has to put like an inflatable hemorrhoid donut on. That's like that's for some reason one of the things about his character. But Jake Busey is the bad guy, as a sort of ghost who is like the Grim Reaper, and he has to like hunt down people and tries to like it's his whole thing, like he's like a mass murderer who's trying to like increase the amount of people that he's been murdering, with the woman who's his sort of love interest who can also see him as well. But one of them things where it's just like it's a comedy film, but it also sort of it has moments in it which are really sort of creepy. Also, you get you could also kind of think that this is also tied into Full Metal Jacket because Arlie Ermey, who played Master Sergeant Gunnery Sergeant Hartman in Full Metal Jacket, is literally in the film in his Marine Corps drill sergeant uniform. So it's basically like the ghost of his character from Full Metal Jacket is literally in the cemetery in the film. But yeah, Michael J. Fox is on point as this is the person who sort of hunts him down, and there's a lot of little bits which are just they border on really creepy, but also like really funny at the same time. Like for some reason,
because he can communicate with the dead. He's like a con man, isn't he?
Yeah, he basically makes money off it, but he doesn't do it in a very sort of. He does it where it's like, oh, they're going to want you to go to wherever and do this and that, but he basically just gets the other ghosts to tell him stuff. So because he has two ghosts who he works with, so he can like go to people's houses and like stuff keeps moving about. There's like a nerd and a disco guy with a big afro who's this.
Yeah,
he's got two mates who just live with him, like two ghosts who just hang about with him all the time, like helping him concoct these schemes. But yeah, The Frighteners is certainly one to catch out for if you haven't seen it. It's Peter Jackson's pre-Lord of the Rings film, and he was still making films that aren't on for about 5 hours and just like sort of sweep you off your feet. But definitely one to check out if you haven't seen it already.
So in 1996, he makes The Frighteners, starring John Astin. John Astin is Sean Astin's stepdad.
That's true.
So he got a gig out of that. It's like, I like the look of your stepson. Well, he could be a hobbit one day. Anyway, let's get on with this film that we're doing. What's this piece of shit we're doing? One day, son, you'll be.
Is that Busey's son over there?
Listen, little Sean, if you could just do quite a dodgy English accent, I don't know, think sort of Somerset, then you've got a job in a few years' time, my boy.
Also, Elijah Wood was in Back to the Future Part 2 as well with Michael J. Fox. He's like a little tiny kid. There's a bit where he's like playing an arcade machine and like Elijah Wood goes, oh, you still play that with your hands? Like, cause, I don't know. Obviously, you don't do that in the future.
I like the idea of Michael J. Fox being a bit like Nick Fury, just kind of wandering around loads of films going, I'm putting a team together for Lord of the Rings. I've already got John Astin's boy and I've got Elijah Wood.
Putting a team together.
He turns up with the X-Men. He goes, hey, Magneto, you're not only magnetic, you're magical. Yeah, moving on to 1997, I have the Wishmaster, which is it's produced by Wes Craven and directed by Robert.
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, it's exactly that. But one of the only reasons that the Wishmaster works is because the accent that Andrew, I think it's pronounced Divoff. He's a Venezuelan-born Russian actor, which is a completely ridiculous combination.
What?
So,
good luck at immigration in America, son. You're from where?
He has one of the most insane baritone voices that anyone has ever had in the history of the world. It's just like I don't even want to try and do an impression of it because it's just ridiculous. But it's so deep and brooding, and the way that he says stuff is just insane. I think there's about 5 different Wishmaster films that he's pretty much in all of them. But the Wishmaster itself is pretty much it's every single sort of bad wish movie that you've ever had. Like anytime someone asks for something, it's like, I wish I had a lot of money, and they'll just like get hit by a car and then they'll get like a massive settlement of money. It's literally one of them things. But the best part of it is in the beginning of the Wishmaster, probably like the first 5 minutes of it. A wizard for a sultan makes him the jewel that he uses to like summon the jinn. And when he does so, one of the wishes that he has is that he wants to see wonders that the world's never seen before. And then the whole court just like starts becoming like mad, crazy monsters. Like someone turns into half a lizard. And there's a bit in it that's always I always always remember where like one person like starts like convulsing and then they fall on the floor and then what happens is the skin splits open and then their skeleton crawls out of their body and then starts running down the hall. And you're just like, what? I was like, I've never thought about that. It's like, what if my skeleton just decided, no, I'm just going.
Bonus eruptus.
Yeah.
It's a terrible disorder where the skeleton tries to leap out the mouth and escape the body.
This is that in practice. But yeah, I mean, it's overall, it's it's a pretty mundane sort of average supernatural horror film. But the first 10 minutes of The Wishmaster is just absolute horror gold. Like people just turning into snakes and monsters and a human skeleton literally trying to crawl itself out of someone's body.
It's got a couple of heads in it. It's got Kane Hodder, aka Jason Voorhees, as security guard, and then it's got Tony Todd in it again.
It's got Robert Englund as well, so
And
it's
Robert,
like
yeah, it's like they've
it's got
God.
Freddy and Jason.
and Candyman at the end. Tony Todd plays a doorman called Johnny Valentine. What?
Nice.
Why does the doorman even need a name? Really, like
and a full name at that, not just Johnny. To be honest, I was going to say, looking at like the djinn, like the red like devil monster, and it's called Wishmaster. I was like, that's kind of, I would think that was softcore porn, to be honest. And then with Johnny Valentine, I'd be like, yeah, no, we're not renting
100%.
One of the sequels, a Wishmaster, for some reason he ends up in prison, and then he ends up running like prison gangs. I don't even know how he ends up there, but there's legitimately one of the sequels to the Wishmaster. He ends up in prison, and he ends up like using wishes on the prison gang. The prison gang members are he's just like, for some reason he's now got like a lot of cigarettes. Like he's collecting boxes of cigarettes. But
it could be get me out of jail. Instead, it's like, now kill that guy and give me heaps of cigarettes.
I don't even know how.
I think you're missing the point here.
I can't even remember how he ends up in jail, but also during that film, obviously because he's in jail, he's in his human form. Like almost the entire time of the film. It might be the third one. He's just like, yeah, I don't want to wear the makeup anymore. Like, all right.
There's too much fucking shit on me. I can't breathe.
It's totally over the top gangsters. But yeah, Wishmaster, one to watch, but be careful what you wish for because it's not exactly worth your time. Moving on to one that probably a lot of people have watched, but I haven't seen in a while, is 1988's The Faculty, which is just like a late 90s sort of turn of the millennium sort of horror movie, which
that and Scream just like sum up that era perfectly.
Yeah,
definitely. It's definitely got a lot of like Salma Hayek and Josh Hartnett in it as well. Also, Elijah Wood is in it as well.
Yeah, and, also Elijah Wood.
he's turning up in everything these days.
And Usher.
Usher's in it. Trying to make his film career get off to a flying start.
And Jon Stewart.
Jon Stewart.
Robert Patrick's in it as well, so you know he's definitely going to be a bad guy. Like if Robert Patrick's in a film, he's always going to be something that he's up to no good.
Clea Duvall as well.
I love Clea Duvall
in it just for legal reasons because she has to be in these sorts of movies.
Every single film in the mid-90s which requires some kind of like sullen gothy girl. Clea, get Clea Duvall on the phone. Is Fairuza Balk available? No. Okay, Clea Duvall. I was just looking at Usher's filmography, of course. And after the Faculty was his first film, he's probably thought, oh yeah, here I go. Then he plays a campus DJ in She's All That, which is like a Pygmalion stupid version of and then he's in some just terrible stuff. Scary Movie 5, he plays Ira the janitor, and then he's himself. And then he plays himself in Muppets Most Wanted. Like, okay.
Oh, so going up in the world.
Yeah, I think he finally gave up on his film career about that time.
I'd be like, are they a good actor though? Have they been in a Muppets movie? No? Oh well.
But yeah, the faculty is definitely one of them sort of high school sort of films that we like literally in abundance at the sort of like very late 90s.
Mm.
One of the one bits that always gets me because the aliens, the sort of like alien parasites that are the cause of the people. It's like a body snatchers, isn't it? Really, the sort of
Yeah.
invasion of the body snatchers. But there's something to do with water. And there's a bit where they're all on like the football field and they're all like looking into the sky where the water's coming down from the rain. And they've got all these worms coming out of their faces and stuff. And I just always remember that bit as being horrible. Also, if you know that Robert Patrick is chasing you for something, you just fucked anyway. Because that guy can peg it like hell for leather. I remember him giving an interview about being in Terminator 2, and he's just like, yeah, like Edward Furlong just had to slow down on that bike because I was just outrunning him like the entire time, and he's in police dress shoes, and he's just like hell for leather, just running with his arms straight like at a dirt bike.
I met Robert Patrick at a convention, and I was going to get a signed picture of him in Terminator for our stepdad Steve. And you have to put a little post-it note on it that says the name on it. So I wrote STE, and he was like, "What's this, Steve?" And I was like, "Yes, Steve." And he went, Steve. Okay, what's that short for? I was like, Steve, and he went, Steve. I said, but it's just Steve. And he was like, yeah, Steve. So he writes STE, and then he's like, so where are you from? And then just writes VE on the end of it. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. You are... Mate,
they don't have Steve in America, do they?
No, we're just Steve. I'm just going to make it Steve, okay? Robert Patrick. I was like, okay, fine. And then he's like, oh, wait, it was... Well, he signs it. And then he's just like, oh, wait, I wrote Steve. I was like, it's fine. Don't worry about it. I was like, I feel like you're a man who's taken drugs before. And I feel like you're not firing on all cylinders, Robert Patrick. I'll tell you what, he was great in a Peacemaker, though.
Oh, yeah. He's fantastic.
Peacemaker's dad, like weird Nazi dad in that, isn't he? I love him in that.
And also that movie, What Elijah Saw, is it? What Josiah Saw.
All right.
What Elijah won on the brain.
It's been an Elijah-heavy episode.
We actually use a sound bite for our intro theme, but in that movie, one of the scariest things I've ever seen in any movie, and definitely the only part in that movie worth watching it for, is after the credits, and it's just him being creepy, and that's where that horrible little laugh's from. But it's funny, it's like the start of it is very kind of True Detective-ish, and it's awesome at the start, which has got nothing to do with what the movie's about. It's just like a character development thing. And it's awesome, and then it just all falls to pieces when they try and make it like a supernaturally thing at the end. It's just a bit rubbish. But after the credits, there's just this one little bit with Robert Patrick for like 4 seconds, and it's one of the scariest things I've ever seen. And it's just him being creepy. I think it's just Robert Patrick is just scary.
Yeah, he's got a kind of an intense, like, just look about him, which is why I didn't push the old Steve thing. Because I kind of felt like he was being all kind of like, oh, I wrote Steve by mistake, and I was like, I feel like I'm like, oh yeah, can you do it again? He'd be like, fuck yeah, that's what Brad just stared straight through me, get me by the scruff of the neck, and be like, yeah, I know, like, it's okay, Mr. Patrick. I'll change his name.
No.
You said.
He'd just turn his finger into a giant piece of metal and just be like... That's how he gets through the fans that he doesn't like.
That's how he signed the photograph. It was like a silver Sharpie. It grew out of his finger.
I didn't give you a pen.
Also, the Faculty is the last film directed by Robert Rodriguez before he directed 3 Spy Kids films. He made Spy Kids 2, the Island of Lost Dreams, and then Spy Kids 3D, Game Over. So like he literally made Dusk Till Dawn, The Faculty, and then Spy Kids 1, 2, and 3. Like he was definitely on a bit of a side quest there.
He had kids probably.
Yeah, it's like the guy who made Mad Max just making Babe. Ridiculous.
I had to on the topic of Robert Rodriguez. So one of my classes is they're doing their media studies students, and they all want to make films, and like obviously they're kind of like, so I'm gonna make I'm going to make a horror film which is set on a submarine. And it's like, no, you're not, because we haven't got a submarine. And that's the first issue. I'm gonna do one that's set on a train. You're not. It's too hard. So I was like, you've got to think like Robert Rodriguez. Like, he made El Mariachi because he was like, I've got a guitar case and I've got a tortoise. Like, you've got to think like Rodriguez. Like, what have you got, and make the film? And they were like, "Is that?" And I was like, "Okay, so El Mariachi." And I was like, "Once Upon a Time in Mexico." They're like, "Blank." And then I was looking through. I was like, "Oh, Spy Kids." They're like, "Spy Kids, yeah, right." Think like the director of Spy Kids, and just use what you have to your disposal.
Think
And they're
like
like,
the director of Spy Kids.
It's
the best advice I'll ever get.
kind of got lost in translation.
They'll be on inside the actor's studio. They'll be like, and then she said to me, think like the director of Spy Kids.
I'll never forget these words.
Oh, wow. Man, kids in Liverpool in your class would be like, I've got an ounce and a knife in me bag.
That's a terrible stereotype. As
Great
true
movie.
as it may be. No, but you know what? They're all kind of. It's nice. It's nice when they're trying to make films and they're like, "Oh, I've got this amazing idea. It's going to be like this." And then I'm like, "Oh, that's the end of this film that you haven't seen." And they're like, "Oh, is it?" I'm like, yeah. They've not seen any films. They've not consumed enough media to know that their ideas are very like. They're like, "You'll never guess the ending of this." One of them said the other day, he was like pitching his little film, and he was like, "You'll never get the end of this, right? So there's a hitman, and he's talking to a psychiatrist. And it's like, does it turn out the hitman's going to shoot the psychiatrist?" And he's like, "Oh." It's like, yeah, mate, I've got a degree in like media and film, and I've seen so many films. You really need to like, "Oh, did you get the ending?" "Yeah, I got the fucking ending. I got it when you said hitman." And they're all like, yeah. My film is set on a nuclear submarine in the year 2074, and everyone's a alien bug type creature. It's like, right? And on what budget are you doing this again? Well, I guess I'd call it a few favors, like, yeah, down at the old submarine yard.
I don't know how we've managed to circle back to him actually him actually appearing again, but I remember a while ago that there was like a ongoing Reddit trend where people would basically he would edit Elijah Wood's Wikipedia page to make it that his most notable part was as the guy in Spy Kids 3, and they'd have like that would be like his first thing that it would come up on his Wikipedia, or it's like most notably as the guy in Spy Kids 3.
It's like when they kept hacking Stellan Skarsgård's Wikipedia page to call him Stella Skateboard. I think it might still be on there. They kept it up for so long. He was like, "All right, it's fine. Just leave it."
I reckon it's someone's full-time job to like go through Wikipedia articles when someone dies, changing is to was, because like that is like so quick. It's like
Control H.
I don't even believe someone's dead until that's changed. You go, as Wikipedia, is Wikipedia in past tense now? And they're like, "I don't know, let me check." And they're like, "Oh, it must be true."
Oh, could you imagine having that job? Your job, like for like a professional writer, the job they end up taking is like, you've got to change the tense on all these Wikipedia articles when somebody dies. You're like, oh my God, no. I'm going to have another crack at this novel.
But yeah, Robert Rodriguez was definitely on side quest after the faculty. But can't imagine anyone listening hasn't already seen it. But it also comes with a bit of a banger sort of Millennium soundtrack as well. The Offspring Creed, bloody Stabbing Westwood, it's like the total new metal band there, and it's Sheryl Crow randomly.
There was a Faculty, Scream, Final Destination. They were all basically, the same soundtracks, and
Yeah, but definitely a little time capsule of that sort of late 90s era. But definitely one to check out if you haven't already seen it, which is very unlikely that you haven't, but it's definitely on some streaming platform somewhere.
Yeah, it's also on VHS somewhere near you in a charity shop or something.
It's definitely on DVD in every single charity shop you go in.
It's in CEX for £1.
Yeah.
Just open it. You got like a holographic postcard of Robert Patrick, not knowing how to spell Steve.
So you've written stove?
Handed it over to my stepdad going, listen, I know it says stove, but you didn't see his eyes. Right, just
It's the toys.
Demonic toys. Playtime has begun.
Do you remember Living Dead dolls?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They come in that like black cardboard coffin. I remember they did a lot of different movie types, and I think they did their own characters. But the only reason I remember was they did a run of they did Jack Skellington. They did like a few different ones, and they were quite expensive. And he just had like a different expression in each one. You didn't have any of those?
We had, I think we had the Exorcist.
Were they just movie ones, or did they do their own little characters as well, or what was the idea behind it?
Yeah, they had their own, they were their own thing.
Oh no, we had
And then they did the movie ones as well.
We had the Exorcist and Psycho, which is like Norma Bates, like with a big butcher knife.
Ah.
And like the case of it is like the shower curtain like coming open.
And then one my father-in-law mentioned yesterday was he'd seen, because he listens to this, he's a fan of the podcast.
Hey.
He's one of the three. He remembers this game called Grave Robbers from Outer Space. It's a card game where you make your own B movie. So you've got to lay the cards out, and you get points for like how well it flows and things like that. And I thought that sounds awesome, but I can only see it in US stores. I can't see it anywhere else. But there was someone who sort of revived it and reissued them, and you get all these like add-on packs with like different characters and things like that. And I thought that was a really cool game. And I thought if I can find some, that'd be a good one for us to play on here. We can have a little segment and we can make our own little B movies. But yeah, basically you just make your own, you get characters and scenarios and stuff, and you piece together your own B movie. And then there's like add-on packs and stuff like that as well.
I remember a rumor as well about merchandise of like random films that they had trouble marketing toys for Batman Returns, because like obviously it's quite a sinister and gothic film given like Tim Burton's style. And then one of the mock-ups they had was the penguin, but it's the penguin at the end where he's dying. He just squeezes him and like, black blood like comes out of his mouth. And like the toy company were just like, no. It's like it's the dying it's the dying action penguin.
It's a hard no.
Welcome to Needful Things.
I've just put it in the chat. I'm sure we can put it on the Facebook and stuff. I thought I'd go ultra local this week because I like to support local businesses. And I was walking past the sort of JARG CEX, which is in Shopping City, where it's like a cash converters type shop. And I just got this vibe that maybe a big old nerd has maybe got a girlfriend, or his girlfriend's moved in, because there was a load of like horror and comic book statues that are horrible. And I was like, I think maybe she's gone, I'm not moving in if they're still here. But they have Iron Maiden.
Yeah, they're the Iron Maiden.
So they've got Eddie, and they've got the Trooper is like the weird skull guy with the So there's a beer named after him. Robinson's Brewery make the Trooper. And so he's become a bit more famous than Eddie, I would say, because he's on the shelves he's like in pubs and stuff. But yeah, there was
£109.
Right, 109. That's worth £109. That statue.
I would argue it's not worth that. That's what they're selling it for.
Well, pay weekly £7.33. And then also there's one next to it which is like Iron Maiden Killer, $79.99. And I'm just like, yeah, that's definitely on the other side, which I didn't take picture of, was was like a load of DC characters, but like zombie versions. And I thought, like, oh, what a we'll look at, like, so yeah, some nerd has obviously like been told, get rid of these, get some cushions that say "Live, Laugh, Love," and I am not having that in the bedroom. Get rid of that
and shampoo that neck beard.
Yeah, shampoo that neck beard. So I feel like someone has lost a bit of their identity, but maybe like in a, you know, like a little hermit crab, like gets too big for its shell and gets a new shell. But then another little crab will come along, and another little weird nerdy virgin will go to that cash converters and be like, "Wow, Mom, I need this for my basement room."
There is at least an 80% chance the person who put these in has a bald head and a ponytail. Are they cookie jars as well? Because they've both got like segments.
It looks like it, doesn't it?
I mean, imagine that's in your fucking kitchen, though. Do you know what I mean?
It's like biscuits.
I think you're right, Jed.
It's a biscuit. And my other thing, which I'm just gonna, I look, do you know what? It's Temu, isn't it? The new like version of Wish, where it's all cheap garbage.
I calls it Temu. But...
Well, on the ad, I play all these games on my phone, and there's constantly. Yeah, it's not that you're thinking of Top Emu, the website where you can get an emu.
Ooh, look at that emu.
But it's just got the strangest things, and
yeah.
I've just put in the chat now. I don't even know. Is it called a ghillie suit?
Yeah.
I think it's called. Yeah, right. So it just looks like it's basically
ghillie suit / swamp monster Halloween costume.
Yeah, it looks like it's a load of old grey nasty moss, and it comes in like trousers, a jacket, a headpiece, and like a scarf.
It's a classic sniper suit.
I know that, but it's just such an odd thing to have suggested to me on Facebook. I'm a 44-year-old woman. As a teacher, I live in an industrial town, and it's like,
how much hunting do you do?
You know, yeah, it's like, would you either like to look like a weird swamp monster or disguise yourself from the local deer population? It's like, what deer population? We've got a squirrel. There's a squirrel. We found one the other day.
Having it suggested to you when Wish was in its heyday, seems to have fallen off now. I'd get things like, it was a plastic. But you know, you get those plastic boxes that you put like bananas and stuff in for lunch boxes so they don't get ruined. It was one of those, but it was a pigeon's head sticking out. And it was a pigeon carrier, like a plastic pigeon carrier. And I'm like, oh, just what I've been looking for. Wow.
There was
like if I need to keep a pigeon for that long, I'd put it in a cage or a box. Plastic pigeon carrier.
I also think if I needed to transport a pigeon, then I'd probably have a specialist.
All the transportation
website.
Options available. Let him fly there.
Yeah, I'll just throw it in the air and see where it goes. Like, that's one way of transporting it. Off you go.
It should have had a disclaimer: do not throw pigeon in air whilst in box.
Release pigeon from box before throwing.
Not foolproof.
It wouldn't occur to me to go on like a generic website like Wish or Temu to get like my hunting equipment.
It would be I'll go to a specialist
website. And where would I get one of these? A full ghillie suit? Temu probably got one.
I don't want my pigeon to go anywhere, but I also don't want it to see me. If you're trying to give medicine to your pigeon, both of those things would be perfect.
Actually, when we had our bulldog, and she didn't really like having medicine and stuff, obviously, that would have been perfect because she was half blind. So I could have just laid on the floor in my ghillie suit on our grey carpet and just sort of like and then a sort of a syringe of medicine comes out and goes into a wait for us to yawn and then be like, bang, I got ya. And she'd be like, oh no, mummy. It was mummy in a ghillie suit again.
You're like there with like dog peanut butter in one hand and like tactical ghillie suit in the other, like, choices. How are we going to get Lou to do this?
Also, if you're watching movies on the couch in your ghillie suit and Lewis comes in, guess what I learned in June? Oh, she must have gone out.
Except,
buy it now, Kirsty.
Unfortunately, our Ceci is red, so I think I'd be standing out quite a bit.
Well, then he'll just scream, swamp monster, and run out of the house.
It's
Either way.
I find it ironic. He's like, let me show you 6 ways that I can like disarm a predator. And he's like, oh, there's a spider in the bathroom. Can you go and get it?
That's too many limbs.
Yeah, he's decided his optimal...
Maximum 4. That's what I'm trained for.
We had this discussion the other day. Like, what's your optimal number of limbs? He's like, I can't go further than 6. I can't go... It's like, you're not really not really excluding too many things.
Yeah, I could handle 2 more, but anything else would just be pushing it.
Well, he was like, I wouldn't hold a millipede. I wouldn't hold a spider. I was like, would you hold a crab? He's like, yeah. I said, okay, we've got 6. Would you hold a spider that's had a leg amputated? Oh, can we get to 7 somehow? He's like, no, 6. 6 is going to do it for me. I'm going to top out at 6.
I thought you meant like how many limbs he could handle just having himself. Like he just grows like an extra pair of legs or an arm or something.
That'd be handy.
I don't think there's like Spider-Man the cartoon. For some reason, he grows like an extra pair of arms. Like he starts to become more of a man spider than a spider.
Yeah, I remember that one. That's probably the only Spider-Man cartoon I remember. Is where he starts to turn into like an actual spider.
Because it was a daytime cartoon, they couldn't say blood, so they had Michael Morbius, and he's like, "I'm gonna suck your plasma." And he did it with his hands as well. He had fangs, but he sucked people's blood by putting his hands on them, and he had like octopus stuff.
Oh, Jed.
But mine was the Dune 2 popcorn bucket, which has been taking the internet by storm. Because it is one of the most horrifying things ever. Like it's a pretty serious film, to be honest. I mean, it's Denis Villeneuve in his scientific glory, but it just happens to be the most sort of.
It's just obscene.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's like it's a Lovecraftian horror. It's just like. Do you want some popcorn? Well, like it just doesn't make any sense. I don't know how that passed the marketing. Like who was like, I know this will be great.
It looks like an extreme sex toy.
I feel like it's going to have a warning saying, "Do not put penis in popcorn." So someone's going to be like, "See, because of me, they have to have a warning." It actually looks like the dog paw cleaner that we had for our dog.
It is a dog paw cleaner.
It's a dog paw cleaner as well. We just use the
multi-purpose.
Multi-purpose.
The dog's like, I'm not putting my fucking paw in that. I know what you do there, Cup.
Thing is though, as well, like when it was shown online, people were saying that can't be real. Like that's just got to be a mock-up. Someone's just got to like do. But people they're actually in cinemas now. Like someone, like the company who released Dune 2 actually signed off on this absolutely horrific thing.
I bet you can't even use it very well because it looks like it's going to just leave all the popcorn. You have to really drag it out.
It's designed to take the popcorn out of your hand as you're trying to remove your hand.
They're going for like 50 quid on eBay.
Wow.
I know.
They're probably assuming that they're going to stop the run immediately and they're going to be like a rare item or something. But I miss that when you used to go to movies and Pizza Hut and places and they'd all have the movie themed stuff and you get like the big cup. Like we had like a 1.5 litre Hulk Hogan Suburban Commando cup.
I knew you were going to mention that.
It was like a fixture in our house.
It was just what you used to wash your hair with, do you remember?
Yeah.
If you wanted to wash your hair over the bath.
Because we didn't have a shower because we were poor.
No,
We
I
have
don't.
that cup
No, I
dead.
don't have a shower. I have a Suburban Commando cup that I wash my hair with.
You go to someone else's house or a hotel or something, you're like, where's your Suburban Commando cup?
Where's your big cup?
I need to wash my
What film that was? Suburban Commando.
Oh, they had the Predator in it.
Oh yeah.
Like a shameless rip-off of the Predator in it. Well, I guess he is like a Poundland Arnold Schwarzenegger, isn't he?
Wasn't Christopher Lloyd the dad in Suburban Commando?
Oh, what a great... Yeah, he was. Yeah, he absolutely was. So the things that I generally search for on Facebook Marketplace are like rooftop tent, something like that I'm waiting to see if someone's selling a cheap one. Or so basically nothing to do with any of this stuff that I'm about to read, but this stuff just pops up anyway. I don't know if it's just there's a smaller population here, so there's less, so you get to this weird stuff quicker than usual. But the first thing that showed up is an action figure box, and it's the meat from Rocky. So I'll see if I can put it in the chat. Imagine an action figure in a box of, well, let's say a Rocky, except it's the meat. So you know when he's doing like the proper like old school boxing and he's like chasing the chicken and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, except it's just the side of beef that he gets in that meat warehouse as its own action figure. So it literally just says the meat with stars around it, and it's got like a black and white photo of the meat. And then in the box you get the side of beef. I can't see what the little blackboard thing says. And then like a bloodied white like overall that he wears when he's in there crunching the meat. Because obviously if you get the Rocky toy, you need to get the meat. Otherwise you can't play the game, right?
Yeah, and you don't want to be at the butcher's every week going, can I just have a really small piece of meat? Like, what for? I'm playing Rocky with my action figures. Like, you're here every week. It's a waste of meat. I'll give you some scraps later on. Was we talking about the Cassandra Doctor Who figure on this show?
Oh, what? And it was when we were going to...
Destroyed Cassandra.
Yeah, it's just an empty box.
It's just an empty frame.
It's destroyed Cassandra. It's like a frame with like tiny bits of the flesh like hung off it. It's just like, it's like the ruined one. Plus, because it's like obviously something that they didn't make quite often. It goes for quite a lot now on eBay.
There's one on eBay right now.
A ruined Cassandra.
There's one there for £10 now on eBay.
That's probably more than what it went for.
That's the starting bid. I just find that really funny.
And then someone's selling, and it's Amityville Horror House. I'm like, oh wow, that's awesome! Like model thing. That'd be pretty cool, and that's quite cheap. And then you're like made out of cardboard, and I'm like, oh, that's a weird thing to have. They've made it themselves painstakingly out of cardboard. So someone has painstakingly recreated the Amityville Horror House in a craft sense, but it's so detailed and so good that they must be a maniac. That person's a maniac.
And again,
why would you do that?
This is like, I will not sleep with you until you get rid of the Amityville house.
It's like, but the house, like the house itself, like the...
It looks cool. I'd have that. $50. That's cheap. Is that in Australia?
Yeah.
So that's like $35.
But I just didn't want to meet the person who made this. It's the thing.
You might not come back from that.
The more you think about it, the worse it gets. Now I'm about to share with you, I know it's only episode 4, but the best thing that has and will ever be shared on this segment. And that is the sexy horror cushion.
Oh my God. What the hell?
Who's that with his bum out? I can't see who that's meant to be.
I don't. Where are you looking?
Top,
the top Pinhead, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, the back of the
Pinhead,
of the leather jacket is the box.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
no Pinhead anywhere. Pants or no pants. So for everyone who can't see this because it's a podcast, we will post this on our social media, our Instagram. So dead.reckoning.podcast is our Instagram. We're also on Facebook. I'm sure it'll be easier to find us. Same name. So what have we got? Scream, We've got Beetlejuice. We've got the Predator. We've got Pennywise, Leatherface, Candyman. Top right, I can't see. Pinhead in the middle top, and then top left is Freddy Krueger.
I think top right might be Patrick Bateman.
Yeah, I think.
Oh yeah,
He's in his underwear.
So it's their heads, but then on a
On,
ripped
sexy
male stripper body.
Pennywise has got the paper boat over his crotch area.
I don't like Pennywise. I don't like. I like the description. It's like great to spruce up your lounge or bedroom, etc.
Lounge.
Lounge.
You wouldn't put it in your lounge unless you had no friends and lived alone. Lay your face on Mike Myers, Ghostface, Freddy, etc., and then the smiley face with the heart eyes.
Why is the Predator holding a teddy bear?
He's a good boy. I'm kind of into Tony Todd there, actually.
Sexy horror cushion, $20, and I was like, "Oh, you just got to get it because that's just amazing." And then I was like, "But is this like have they made it and then had it printed?"
I want to buy it.
We all want to buy it, Chet. We just have a lot to deal with when we do buy it, like emotionally.
The others are kind of, they've got elements of horror to them. So, like, Freddy's got his glove on, and then, Ghostface has got his mask on. Tony Todd just looks fit. There's no element of horror there. There's no bees.
He's like a pimp outfit.
Yeah, there's no bees. He just looks like a cool, handsome black man lying on your settee.
But isn't that his jacket? I don't remember the jaunty neckerchief, but isn't that his jacket?
Yeah.
Even though it does look like a pimp /
But there's no horror element.
Jacket.
There's no horror element in that picture whatsoever. There's no bees. There's no.
Where are the bees?
I don't know what.
I'm going to message them.
Where are the bees?
Where are the bees?
Maybe that's why they're not selling it, because people are like, there's no bees. Scroll.
Boo.
It's like you with that guillotine, Kirsty. It's not really what I was
looking for.
I want a Chip and Dale style horror cushion. I need it today.
Again, I do feel like that is like, what is that cushion? Oh, it's like a sexy. Yeah, that can go, or I'm not moving in.
I don't think you'd get that far. You'd see it, and then you just wouldn't answer your phone again.
I'll put it on Facebook along with my Amityville horror cardboard house that I've made, and all of my Iron Maiden figures. You've destroyed my life. I'm not who I am anymore. You don't really love me. You love the idea of me.
It's like when people send you a message like, "Oh, I saw this." Because you like dogs, don't you? Or you're a guitar player, or you have a horror podcast, and you're like, thanks.
I love that. There is one of my favorite ever Instagram posts of all time. Was like, this girl was like, I just said to my mum randomly, "Oh, bees are nice, aren't they?" And what she got for Christmas was like 700 bee-related items, like books about a book called The Beekeeper's Wife and a big tea set with bees all over it, like some local honey. And that is exactly, I do feel like that's what our mum used to do sometimes. She just sort of like randomly say something, and then the next thing it was like, "Merry Unicorn Christmas." Like, oh,
everyone's like smiling a bit and nodding in the yard, and you open your present, and it's like a swarm of bees. It's a beehive.
Not the bees. Not the bees.
2,000 live bees.
We were talking the other day.
Like swatting around.
We were talking. Lewis listens to a podcast called The Wild Times, and there was a guest on there. It's all about nature and animals. And there was a guest on there whose girlfriend was going to leave him because he had a wasp hive in the bedroom. And I did say, "What is he, the fucking candy man? Why has he got that?
Except death.
Why has he got that? Like, what? First of all, isn't that going to be a bit noisy?"
Oh my!
Just like
God.
buy him a white noise machine. Like he just needs to hum of like 1,000 angry wasps.
It's not really conducive to a good sex life, is it? To be like, "What's that noise?" Like, "Oh, that's just 250 wasps," right? So, baby.
That came about because of one of two things. Either he got broken into and he's scared of dogs and he's like, I've got to have something to protect this house. Or he hates his next door neighbour who has a beehive and he's like, we'll see about that.
He's like
Don't
an
share
animal.
your with me.
He's like some sort of animal expert who apparently has a lot of like stuff like this. It was just why a wasp hive? And also why in the bedroom though? That's the worst. In the bedroom, that's what I said. That's what I was like.
It's
why?
in the house, in the bedroom.
Oh, yeah, in the bedroom it was.
Isn't the whole point that they come and go?
Apparently not with what I've had this whole fucking conversation with Lewis. But yeah, no, it was in the bedroom, and his girlfriend was going to break up with him if he didn't get rid of the wasp hive. I was like, I
wouldn't go in the house. I
don't find that unreasonable. You know, when you sort of say, like,
it's me or the wasp.
It's me or the wasp hive. I'm just saying the sexy
one girlfriend, 1,000 wasps. They're not making me give up anything.
They make honey of a kind. You can't eat it, but they make it. What do you create?
And when I came home at 3 a.m. and puked in the bed, not a word, not a buzz.
Well, there was a buzz. There's a constant buzz, but it wasn't a buzz of shame. It was a buzz of appreciation.
You know, when he gets rid of it, he's going to have to download one of those sleep apps and search for wasp sounds. Otherwise, he won't sleep for months.
I'm just thinking, like, you know, in like these dodgy American films where there's like a couple and they're just sort of like ripping each other's clothes off, going up to the bed, and they don't. And there's a reveal. There's like a reveal where they put the light on. It's like, just turn the light on. I've dropped my keys, and then it's like, there's a wasp. What the fuck is that? That's just my wasps. A wasp hive? Well, I'd like to know where you would put 250,000 wasps. If not in a hive. No, I just keep them in the yard, Susan. Yes, they're in the bedroom. They need to be warm.
It's their bedroom too.
It's their bedroom too. How quickly can you gather up your clothes from the floor and run out of the door in a comedy manner?
Oh, God. Oh, I've got so many questions about keeping wasps.
Heartbreak stings more than what?
It is. It's like the Candyman, isn't it? Are you the Candyman? No. Why do you have wasps in your room? No reason. But I'm definitely not the Candyman. Let's go over this again.
Oh my God.
You'd probably wrap this up soon. I think that's been over 2 hours.
Yeah, we need to buzz off.